Bro, what the fuck?
Hello there, people of the internet. How's everyone doing today? I'm doing alright, thanks for asking. Today's episode is based off of several conversations I have had with several people. And a lot of it is not really logic-based, it's emotion-based. So today's discussion is going to be whether or not the Russian 7.62x54 rim is obsolete. Now right off the bat, before I start spouting anything, I'm going to say in order for something to be obsolete, that is an entirely opinion-based set of knowledge, set of increments. There are certain things, certain factors that play towards something being obsolete or obsolescent, but if it's not a significant enough amount, people will not claim it to be obsolete. For example, I drive an 86 Cougar with a 5.0 in it. Gets a hell of a lot less gas mileage than today's Toyota Prius, but I would not call my Cougar obsolete in comparison to the Prius. My Cougar can outrun a fucking Prius in a minute. Well, less than a minute. That's just an expression we use where, I'm from. But the morality of that story carries over to whether or not the 7.62x54 rimmed is an obsolete cartridge. In my opinion, yes, this is an obsolete cartridge simply because it is a rimmed cartridge. Now, whenever I say it's an obsolete cartridge, I'm not calling it bad. People seem to think whenever you say something's obsolete, you're saying it's trash. Oh, that's not what I'm talking about here. I'm not saying the 7.62x54 rimmed is trash. I'm just saying, compared to today's modern technology, it is in fact obsolete. I'm not saying I don't like it either. I love this round. In fact, as far as rimmed cartridges go, this is my favorite rimmed cartridge, with the 303 British coming in at a very close second. Now, this was designed during the black powder era. Smokeless powder was just around the corner, so it ended up being thrown into the smokeless powder category. But back then, technology was not nearly as good, and head spacing was a hell of a lot easier to do with a rimmed cartridge versus a rimless cartridge, and that is why they had rimmed cartridges. Or rather, that's why they kept the 7.62x54. Now, when dealing with a rimmed cartridge, you either need a single shot rifle, some sort of interrupter inside the magazine of the rifle, or you have to pay attention to how you load these rounds so you don't end up with rim lock. To people that actually know what they're doing, that's not that big of a deal, but whenever you have this massive army of conscript soldiers that don't even want to be there, you're going to have a lot of people that are, suffering from rim lock unless your rifle has some sort of interrupting system, like, for example, the Mosin Nagant does. Or Nagant, or however it is that you want to pronounce it. Now, some of the arguments that were made to me was, if this is an obsolete cartridge, why was it kept so long? The Russians, a lot of firearms nowadays, you'll have to forgive the bird noise. I have 5 peacocks, actually. I have 4 of them now. And they're all named Kevin, and they're very loud, very noisy birds, but hey, I love them. The 7.62x54 rimmed is still in very massive use today for a very good reason. There were a lot of Russian-made, designed, developed firearms that were chambered in 7.62x54 rimmed. After technology advanced to the point to where head spacing was much easier to do even on a rimless cartridge, the Russians chose to keep this cartridge because they already had so many firearms already chambered in this round in stock. They knew how to set up magazine cutoffs. They knew how to train their troops to load properly with this ammunition. So rather than replace all the rifles that they had in inventory that were chambered in this round and, come up with the money to make new rifles that were chambered in some rimless cartridge, they decided to just keep this round so they could keep all the rifles and whatnot that they had in inventory and just develop systems that kind of bypassed the rim on the cartridge. And they were very good at doing that. Now, of course, this changed whenever the 7.62x39 came along, but the 7.62x39 came along much later, and they still kept the 7.62x54 rimmed in their inventory. So if that right there is not proof enough that this right here is a fantastic cartridge, then hell, I don't know what is. It was good enough for the Russians for who knows how many decades. However, the argument here is not to say that this cartridge isn't good enough. It's just to say that it's obsolete, simply because of this rim. Technology nowadays makes head spacing much, much simpler than it used to be. Ammunition quality has also dramatically increased over the past, hell, 50 years or so. The 54 rimmed will definitely, absolutely still get the job done, but unless you know how to load these properly into, say, a Mauser style action, or perhaps you have some sort of interrupter system inside of your rifle, then you're going to suffer from rim lock. And if you know how to do it, hey man, that's no big deal. It's pretty easy to handle that. But if you don't know how to do it and you don't know what you're doing, you're going to have a tough time. Another very strong argument that I have towards the obsolescency of, I'm not sure if that's a word I made up or not, the obsolescence of the 7.62x54 rimmed is rimmed cartridges require one hell of a stripper clip. Just like the 303 British, that rim needs to be encased inside the stripper clip versus a rimless cartridge which can have a Mauser style stripper clip without any issues. Now stripper clips like this, I mean, they suck. Anyone who's loaded an Enfield rifle with some of the military style stripper clips that they have, maybe if you get yourself a custom one, that's a lot smoother, a modern production one, then you can prove that those older style stripper clips are more obsolete, just like the cartridges that they inhibit. I cannot stress enough, whenever I say obsolete, I don't mean bad, okay? Like, people get so upset because they think I'm insulting the cartridge. I am not. I am not. I'm just saying, compared to modern technology, it is definitely obsolete. Of course, your bolt-action rifles of any sort are going to be obsolete compared to semi-automatics as well. Speaking of it sucks to load, we're going to go ahead and load some rounds into this 9130. Come on, baby. If we don't break my finger in the process. All right, we got some rounds loaded into the 9130. These Mosin Nagants, they do have an interrupter system built into the magazine. Very, very smart on the Russians' part. And it stops rim lock from happening for the most part. You still got to pay attention to how you load in that last round into your stripper clip. All right, well, without further ado, this would not be a video on my gun channel if I did not at least send some lead downrange. So right now we're firing Communist Block Factory 60 Full Metal Jacket ball ammunition. I think it's 147 grain out of this non-refurbished 9130 Mosin Nagant. This is a 1943 production rifle made by the Izhevsk Arsenal. This rifle is definitely, absolutely a very effective rifle. Ah, I loaded the stripper clip in upside down. This is that rim lock I was telling you guys about. Come on, baby. There we go. That's the issue that you have with rifles like this. That's a perfect example of the obsolescence behind a rimmed cartridge if you're not exactly positive on what you're doing. Alright, without further ado, I'm just going to send some lead down at that steel silhouette down there. We're sitting about 50 yards right here, so I don't necessarily have to worry about ricochets, but if I do, I'm the only one out here. That's not something I'd be concerned with. There's the bird noises. Thank you, Kevin. I got a small target underneath that main target. I'm gonna try and hit it. I doubt I will though. Ah, I got it. I could barely see that bastard too. Alright, well, I got a few more rounds of this rimmed Russian ammo. This video is basically just an excuse for me to come on out here and fire my Mosin. I'm going to go ahead and load these up. They're like a mix of rounds. I got some Red Army Standard and a few more of these Com Block rounds. I'm going to load these up, and I'm actually going to take the camera. We're going to go in for a POV shot of me lighting up our target down there. Alright, here we go. You can't go wrong with a good POV shot, right? Man, that is some pretty ammo. We got 2 rounds of this comm block stuff left. Let's go ahead and set it down range. Here's round 1. There's round 2. And right there is going to be our new production stuff. This right here does have more force than those other rounds. It's also a lot louder. Ooh, that's a lot more recoil. Man, I love the Mosin. I ended up getting a bunch of oil all over my face because I cleaned my Mosin not too long ago. And my hands, they smell like communism. It's glorious. Now, I'm not saying I endorse communism at all. I don't want to be brought off as a communist. I am very, very much about the free world. I'm just saying I enjoy the historical significance of the Soviet Union and previous Russian developments. Alright, well, as you can see, the 7.62x54 rim definitely still packs a wallop. I'm not saying that it's a bad cartridge. Anytime I have this discussion with some sort of like Mosin fanboy or something who thinks the 7.62x54 rim can compete with all modern cartridges, in a way, I suppose there is some validity to that if the rifle is designed to accommodate for the 7.62x54 rimmed. However, that does make for a more complex feeding system. Whenever I call the round obsolete, it means that more modern production things can handle the same job easier. I guess that's the best way to put it without hurting any feelings. A rimless cartridge can feed inside of a semi-automatic rifle way easier than a rimmed can out of a box magazine. Now, although they can do the same job, I still feel like I'm gonna get like a lot of hate for this video. Although they can do the same job, and the Mosin's 7.62x54 rimmed is definitely an adequate round, the more modern rimless cartridges can in fact do the job easier. Rifles with a rimless cartridge require a lot less manufacturing, tooling, processing, and of course interrupting, systems built into the feeding mechanisms than rimmed cartridges do. And that's just how it mechanically is. People get so emotionally attached to things and they stop understanding that it's a mechanical device designed for one specific purpose. And the rimmed cartridges mechanically require something like this system or require additional attention whenever you're loading. I still feel like after everything I've said, I'm gonna go ahead and get some backlash here. You guys stay away from me, alright? Go easy. Go easy in the comments, for real. Seriously. You guys might think I'm exaggerating, but like a week ago I was having a conversation at my local gun store with a guy who was there to pick up a Mosin Nagant rifle. It was a 1939 production, I believe, rifle. It was sporterized, and that's kind of why I didn't pick it up myself, but he was there to pick it up, and although he was a gun guy, he wasn't exactly knowledgeable about firearms, but he wholeheartedly believed that the 7.62x54 rimmed Russian ammo is the end-all be-all, do-everything round, and was par none, like modern cartridges could not even begin to look at the round in its own league. That's a pretty horrible analogy, but I think you guys understand what I mean. This guy had very, very high regards for this cartridge. And I was talking to the guy, and, we were just having this conversation about how, at first it was like a military technology development conversation, but then I guess I struck a nerve whenever I was talking about the obsolescence of rimmed cartridges in general. And like, this guy got extremely defensive, like immediately, to the point to where a fist fight almost broke out between me and this guy. Of course, he was instigating it, but like, I just remember, what was it that I said? I think I said something along the lines of, after the 7.62 NATO cartridge came out, rimmed cartridges really significantly began to decline. I think I said something along the lines of that. And this guy, like, his face got red, his neck did that thing, and he was like, I don't even remember what he said, because he was like just so angry. I was so caught off guard at that. He had the whole finger wagging thing too, and I was like, hey man, I'm not calling them bad, I'm just saying that, you know, modern stuff can do it easier. And I swear this guy was gonna punch me in the fucking face. Like you could just tell the body language. Like, this guy curled up his hands, brought him up like this, and went, and he was coming at me like that. If it wasn't for the gun owner, I probably would have a broken nose right now. Or the shop owner, not the gun owner. So yeah, there are some fanboys out there of this cartridge, and that is fine. If it is your favorite cartridge, then by all means enjoy your cartridge. It is also my favorite rimmed cartridge. I will say that and defend it, you know, beyond all reasonable doubt. But the only reason it's my favorite rimmed cartridge is because the Russian firearm development revolved around this cartridge. Like, you have your SMLE series that had the 303 British cartridge, and you had to learn how to load that thing properly, otherwise you'd suffer from rim lock. Well, the Russians, they were like, ah, fuck it, we don't need to learn anything. Let's just go ahead and make our rifles to where it's really difficult to get rim lock, and that's what they did. So I suppose it's not necessarily the 54 rimmed that's my favorite rimmed cartridge, it's the 54 rimmed paired with the technology that was constructed around it. I really enjoy that. Alright, well, let me know what your thoughts are down below in the comments section. I'd like to thank you guys for watching. If you like this kind of stuff, by all means, subscribe to the channel and like the video. I do this kind of stuff all the time, as you can very clearly see from the car down there. Check out the description down below. You're going to find a link to my second channel. It is a gaming channel. I get drunk, play video games, put them up on YouTube. If something happens to this channel, I will be going to that channel. So if you want to support me here, you'll definitely help by subscribing to that one. Check out the Patreon page. I do Q&As on the Patreon page. That's about all I can say about that. You don't have to be a Patreon to check that out or to ask questions. Okay, well, I am probably going to go grab myself another rifle because I'm having a lot of fun at this gun range, and I want to continue to shoot stuff. So, ooh, I know an excellent video that I can make, so I'm going to go off and do that. You guys go off, have a fantastic day, and once again, thanks for watching.